All right. What is going on, folks? I am doing a tier list for Vanguards that are in standard. I'm going to avoid doing the ones that are about to rotate soon. So, all the ones from the Phyrexia, Brothers War, Saga, that whole block, because, well, that will severely outdate this video in 2 weeks when these all rotate. So, might as well keep it a little bit more useful for people. And there's already so many Vanguards to go through that there's not a big need to do more. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into this. Let me just make sure. Make sure certain things are working the way they should be. Privacy public. Actually, hold on. Let me do something real quick here. I think I might need to restart because I don't think this is correctly doing the right thing here. Let me make sure I'm still streaming. Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure that non channel members are able to chat because it looked like there was an issue happening there. So I think it should be working now. If you are in the live chat and watching, just say hi. Don't feel like you have to participate. I just want to make sure things are working. But I mean, if you don't feel like chatting, then it doesn't really matter if the chat is working for you anyway. Um, okay, let's get into it, and I'm gonna go with A to Z, and I have no idea if I'm gonna be able to get through all these tonight. It is already pretty late, so um, there is a possibility that I might have to do a part two. So our tiers here, we got God tier vanguards, meta vanguards, solid vanguards, functional vanguards, ones you might rarely use, and the last one is trash. So there's probably going to be a few trash vanguards in here. And I can't wait to trash them along with you here. All right. First Vanguard, we got a Johnny, Color of the Pride. Sorry, I'm still doing this kind of ghetto through Canva, but I think it'll work fine. Okay, so first thing, target creature gains flying. Oops, that is I don't know if I grabbed the right one. Okay, let's start actually with the. We'll just go ability for each card and just kind of talk about them, and then decide from there what we think of it. So the +1, so it costs 8 to cast. That's a big deal. The casting cost of these vanguards is going to factor heavily in whether or not they are worth chasing or how I rate them. So mana cost 8, not bad. 2 shields is fine, I guess. The +1, target creature gets +1/+1. Pretty weak, but whatever. Part 2 here, -3. So you'll have to at least use this first ability a couple times. Target creature gains double strike and flying until the beginning of next turn. I mean, that's okay. That's a lot to just do that for one turn. And then the -5, what are we at? -5, create X cat tokens. X is the number of cat creatures you control, including their reinforcements. So you already have to have cats on the board. So yeah, you already have to have a cat. This one doesn't actually create cats, doesn't make your creatures the cat subtype, which might be cool if you are able to do that. But no, I mean, -5 just to create a bunch of cat tokens. And you already have to have a bunch of cat tokens down. Nah, this one is trash. I don't think it's very good at all. So let's put him down here. All right, next one is Ajani Goldmane. Vanguard Ajani from the latest set. +1, gain 5. Okay, so 12 mana to cast. 3 shields. Starts with 3 shields, so that's okay. The +1, gain 5 life. I mean, it's not nothing, but it's not amazing. But, you know, gaining 5 life every turn is not terrible. It's the next one. Your creatures get +1/+1 and gain vigilance. For -2. That's also not bad either. All of your creatures gaining vigilance, if they have something like prevent damage on them or double strike or something like that already, making them blockers is not a bad idea. So that's all right. I don't hate that. Oops, that's the same one. Sorry. Let's just go ahead and delete those. Where's the third one? Okay. Then create 3 Ajani's Pridemate tokens. So I think these are the ones that they get buffed every time you do a every time you gain life, I want to say. So that's okay. I would say that this is a functional Vanguard. I think that you can use this one for some ideas there. Definitely better than the other Ajani. It's not amazing, so that's why it's still kind of... if this is S tier, A, B, C, that's a C tier Vanguard, I would say. Why not? Okay, next one. We get the Mythic Ajani. What are we starting here with? Okay. Ajani Nottle Avenger. 13 mana, 3 shields. It's red and white. It'd be cool if we get another multicolor Ajani. There's some decent ones. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create an Ajani Nottle Pariah token. Let me see if I have that, what that actually does. I do. So it's a legendary token, cat. At the beginning of your turn, gain X life. X is the number of creature cards you control, including the reinforcements up to 10. Okay, so it's, I think, a bit of an upgrade over the last one. And then what? Okay, at the beginning of combat on your turn. Okay, so you create a token every time you start combat. So that's not bad. And then what's the +1? So you get a little bit of double dipping in here. Reinforce your first cat creature. Okay, so you get to reinforce the little Ajani dude if you don't have other cats in play. And what's the next one? Cat creatures you control get +1/+1 for each of their reinforcements. Okay. Then destroy a random opposing card. This card can affect Vanguards. Okay, so it's a -6. It's going to take a while to get to where you're actually getting some really good utility out of that -6. But it does create some tokens for you, and you can buff them up as you go. It's okay. It's usable. You might find some places to actually play this guy, but he's functional. We'll put him there. Now we're getting into some Vanguards that I actually own. So we got Ajani Sleeper Agent. I think this is the last Ajani I have here. When you lose life for the first time during your turn, if this card's in your hand, it gains 3 mana. So I think that's meant to go with the Phyrexian gems. There's not a lot of other ways to make yourself lose life before you play this card in white and green. So it kind of goes all right with the Ajani Planeswalker. That's fine. I never really think about it. I think this is a good +2. Creatures you control get +1/+1 for each of their reinforcements. So yeah, you could. It doesn't have to be cats. So you cat haters can still use this card, but yeah, you can pump up your creatures a decent amount if you're playing a bunch of tokens. I think this card is decent in that regard. Support card, Vanguard. Oh, yeah, I already read all that. So it's 15 mana for 4 shields, I should say that. Reinforce target creature you control, then that creature gains death touch. So I don't think the -3 is actually that great. I think the +2 is actually the better part of this card. So I would say this card is solid. I've definitely used it in a handful of situations. I think it's actually not bad. So let's just put it in the solid category. Our first solid Vanguard. So we're talking a B tier Vanguard, basically. Okay, next card. Amanatu, the Fate Shifter. I do like this Vanguard. Draw a card, then create a copy in your hand of the top card of your library. So you get some card advantage there for a +1. I think that's pretty good. What do we got next? It is also a 13 mana for 3 shields. Oh, I already did that one. Why is it? Where's the next one? Oh, okay, there it is. I think I grabbed the wrong one. Yeah, and then the second ability is one of the better abilities that this Vanguard has. Exile target creature you control, then create a copy of that creature into the battlefield under your control and reinforce that creature. That's a nice little blink ability there. For -2, this is good to pair with things like Dragonhawk. Anything that has a good ETB, Bright Glass Gearhulk. You can get some extra utility out of it. So this is actually a pretty functional card here. I would go so far as say it's a solid card. The third ability is okay. It's not one I use much just because the -5 can take a little bit of time to get to. Exile the top 4 cards of your library and then move the first support card from your exile into your hand. That card gains X mana. X is the number of cards in all exiles. So I haven't really used that -5 since I got Amanatu, the Planeswalker, but there's definitely some synergy there. You want to pair this card with something like Loot, Dragonhawk, and all that. So this card is pretty good in those decks. So that's where you probably want to use it. I would say this is a solid Vanguard as well. So let's put that in the solid category. Angrath, Minotaur Pirate. 14 mana, 4 shields. A +3, deal 1 damage to each opposing creature, then deal 1 damage to your opponent. I mean, that's not great. The effect is not great, but it does give this 4 shields, or 3 shields. So you're close to getting to a good amount of shields on here. So for that, it makes it an okay ability. They just kind of needed something to make you raise its shields. Return the first pirate creature or vehicle support from your graveyard to play under your control. So I think this is why you use this ability, or you use this Vanguard. I think that's a pretty solid ability if you get this support card shields up. a decent amount and then just keep bringing stuff out from your graveyard every turn. I think that's not bad. The -9, however, is pretty good. Destroy each opposing creature card, then for each creature card destroyed this way, deal X damage to your opponent's planeswalker. X is that creature's power. I think it was bugged for a while, where it was only dealing base damage rather than the actual total power of the creature. So I haven't used this card in a long time, and I actually have no idea how functional it is these days. I do think it is a functional Vanguard. I think you can get some decent amount of utility out of it. I don't think it's great, but I do think you can find ways to play it and get good use out of it. Okay, next one here. Archangel Ell's. This is a Vanguard I use a lot. 14 mana, 4 shields. +1. Create X human tokens. X is the number of loyalty gems. If you've used this card, you know that gets you a lot. On average, anywhere from like 7 to 11 is usually the range that you get. Sometimes you'll get more. Sometimes you'll get a little less, but usually not much less. There's usually a decent amount of loyalty gems on the board. The +2 is, or the -2 is also really good. Target creature you control gets +3/+3 and gains lifelink. Then that creature gains the angel subtype. So you're mostly using this for the lifelink, but the +3 is not a bad little buff. Gaining the angel subtype is not something I really pay that much attention to, I gotta say. So there's probably some relevant reason to do that. Oh yeah, there are some. You get some angel leaders in. For example, what's her name? Uh, Sarah the Benevolent makes angel leader tokens, so that's a good way to buff that. There's also other things you can do. Omo will make tokens also into angels, and that's another way of taking advantage of that sort of thing. But I actually don't know if that really is relevant to this discussion. But there is some very niche situations where making a creature an angel actually benefits you. And then the third ability here. Return the first 3 cards from your graveyard to the battlefield under your control, then reinforce those cards. So this is a great way to bring things out from your graveyard into play. So obviously this is going to go well with the Archangel Elspeth Planeswalker, but you know this works well with Dakon and other Planeswalkers like that can do that you can manipulate your graveyard with. So all in all, a very good Vanguard. I think this is our first real meta Vanguard because this is one that you do see in various situations. So I think it's a really good Vanguard there. So our first meta Vanguard. So let's see. Ashok, Wicked Manipulator. Oh, that's the wrong one to start with, but we'll do this. Okay, 17 mana, 3 shields to start with. I actually just picked this one up from the Bloomborough Epic pack. I don't think a lot of the Vanguards from that set are great. There are a couple of ones that I would like to have. And so I think I got all of the um, rare Vanguards out of the way. But I don't know if I want to sink jewels into that set. I would rather just keep spending crystals because they're easier to come by than jewels, and just got to be efficient here. When you lose life for the first time during your turn, exile the top card of your library. That card gains a Nightmare emblem. If that card is a black card, the support gains 1 shield. Okay. So you're only exiling 1 card from your library when you do that. I mean, I guess that's whatever. It doesn't cost you anything to do that, but it's not really doing a lot for you unless you're using Ashok Wicked Manipulator, the Planeswalker. So, not great. And then create a Black Nightmare token. And then those Black Nightmare tokens are the ones that have imminent death, and they exile cards when they attack, I believe, or you lose life when they attack. I want to say, I forget exactly how they work. So, I mean, maybe I'm not the best person to be talking about this card, but point is, it's a very whatever um, little token that you create. And then your opponent loses X life and you gain X life. X is the number of cards with a Nightmare emblem in your exile for -7. So the only reason you would play this card is if you really want to double up on Ashiok's abilities. And truth be told, Ashiok's um, abilities, other than the first ones, are not great. So I don't know. Unless you really like Ashiok, the Planeswalker, I don't see why you would want to use this Vanguard. So I won't say it's trash, but I will say it's definitely rare use. So we'll put it there. Rare use. All right. Let's keep going here. Okay. Shandras Beacon, the Vanguard. Planeswalker is really good. So how does the Vanguard work for us here? 16 mana, 3 shields. The +1. Deal X damage to up to the first 2 opposing creatures. X is the support shield. So you do this, and you're already doing 4 damage to your opponent's first 2 creatures. Not bad. You definitely don't want to spam this a lot when you're against a Vindicator, but otherwise, it is a pretty cool effect. But then Vindicator is leaving standard soon, so we won't see it a whole lot, I don't think, unless a lot of people still want to play it in Legacy, which you don't see it that often. Sometimes you do, though. Spell cards in your hand gain 6 mana for -2. That's very solid. Then the -3, or the -6, I should say. Exile the top 3 cards from your library and then fetch the first spell card with the greatest mana cost from your exile. That card gains full mana. If you can't, deal X damage to your opponent's Planeswalker. X is the number of creature cards in your exile. So I rarely use the -6. It's not like it's a bad ability, but it is -6. And I feel like you get more out of the -2 usually. Unless you really need a spell from your exile that you know you can grab, and it's going to really help you, like a Chaos Warp or something like that. The -6 is just okay. It's just a lot of shields to sink into this ability. And for something that's not going to be super reliable, I don't know if I like that much. So I would play this card for the +1 and +2. I think it is a solid Vanguard. This is one that I've definitely played a fair amount. It's not like way up there in terms of how much I like it, but I do think it is a pretty nice Vanguard. So we'll put it here in the solid category. Another Shandra Vanguard coming right up. Chandra Nar from the latest set here. 13 mana, 3 shields, deal 2 damage to any target for +2. Okay. You can do things with that. 2 damage is not much, but it's something, I guess. And it does raise this by 2 shields, so I don't hate that part of it. And it's just something you can spam. Deal 8 damage to target opposing creature for a -3. Okay. So I guess you can keep upping the little burn damage with this thing if you want, so that you can get to that 8 and hopefully take out. 8 does take out a lot of things if you get them early. So it's not a bad ability, but you start with 3 shields and you -3, and your Vanguard is gone. So I don't know. Spending 13 mana to deal 8 damage to an opposing creature is not great. Deal 10 damage to each opposing creature and for each of its reinforcements. Okay. Then deal 10 damage to your opponent's planeswalker and destroy 10 random gems. I like the destroying 10 random gems, but -10 to do all that. It's going to take you a while to get there, right? If you're not proliferating, you're just sitting there having to up its shields either by casting more of these and hitting the +2 a bunch. I think that it just doesn't do enough for I just don't think it does enough for that amount of time that you're spending trying to get this thing's shields up. So I think I'm going to put it in the rare use because I just don't think it's bringing a lot to the table. I don't think it's trash, but I just can't see a lot of people using this card much. Just doesn't bring quite enough to the table. All right, next one. Shandra Spark Hunter. 10 mana. Starts with 2 shields. Okay, actually, let's start with the little evergreen ability. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, create a racer pilot and it gains haste. So racer pilot, I think, is just a 1/1, but it can get buffed depending on the amount of vehicle shield supports, I believe. So to create a token for you every turn, it's not a bad ability. Okay, we're at the +2. +2 is discard a card and draw a card. That's going to be bumping your shields up. That's kind of what you're going to be using it for, but it helps to kind of filter through your deck to get to the things you want. So I don't hate that for a +2. And then the -6. Deal X damage to any opposing target. X is the number of tokens you control, including their reinforcement. So that is interesting. I think that is playable. If you build for this card, I think that it can be useful. It's going to take you a little bit of time to get to the -6, but I don't think that's that. I don't think there's that much labor involved to get this to be able to -6 it. You just got to play it at the right time, right? So I think it's functional. I don't think it's great. Oops. Put that in. Okay, next. Comet Stellar Pup. So it just basically has like the Planeswalker. This Vanguard has only 1 ability. 14 mana. It's got 5 shields. That's not bad. But it has a 0. So you can, as long as this Vanguard is in play, you can always just roll a d20. So what do you get out of it? 1 through 7, you get this support gains 2 shields and create 2 squirrel tokens. Okay. Squirrels are just 1/1 squirrels, right? The that's whatever. 8 through 13, return a random card from your graveyard to your hand. That card gains 6 mana. That's alright. You have to play this in a planeswalker that is relevant for, but that's alright. 14 through 20, this support loses 2 shields, then deal X damage to any target. X is this support shields. So it loses shields and then does the damage. I wish it was the other way around and make it a little bit better. The fact that you don't get to know what you're going to do every time, you're just sitting there spamming it, it can be fun, I guess, but like Comet, he's hard to rely on, the Planeswalker, I should say, for what you really want to do with them. So, again, like the Planeswalker, this is just kind of a silly card to kind of just play your luck with it and see what happens. So, some players might like that. I think most players who will play this game are into more consistent cards and effects. So I think some people might just have a good time with it and will use it that way. But no one's ever going to really use it in a serious deck. All right. Commodore Guff. At the beginning of your turn, Vanguard supports you control, gain 1 shield. So that makes it very relevant to play with other Vanguards. Oh yeah, it's 5 for 18 mana, 5 shields to start with, and it's tricolored, so just like the Planeswalker. The -2 is what I use this Vanguard for, and I use this Vanguard quite a lot. It's my most used Vanguard. Destroy 4 gems of your opponent's Planeswalker's color, then gain X mana. X is the total shield of all support cards you control. So this makes it great to add into support heavy decks, Vanguard heavy decks, proliferate decks, any way that you can get that shield up by a lot, and flood the board with supports, or just get a support with a ton of shields down, and you're going to be doing you're going to be getting a good amount of mana from it. In the late game, if things are going well, this can get you your entire hand full of mana, which is great. And then it's even got a nice win con to it as well, and I use it that way. Draw 3 cards and deal X damage to your opponent's Planeswalker. X is the total shield of all cards you control. Yeah, I've definitely won matches because of that. And it helps speed up some wins a lot of times. Even if I don't win, I can really deal a lot of damage to my opponent that way. And it's a great little creature-free win con. I use it with creatures. I use it without creatures. Fantastic card. This is the closest, I think, to a god tier Vanguard. But truth be told, I don't know if we have any god Vanguards right now. There's only a couple in the game, I feel. But I do think it is meta, and I'm surprised more people don't play this Vanguard. I think it's great. And yeah, anyway, let's keep going here. Another favorite Vanguard of mine. I chased this one for a good amount of time, and I was happy to grab it when I did. So this is from MKM Dretti, Ingenious Iconoclast. 5 shields, 16 mana. The +1, create a construct token, then construct creatures you control gain defenders at the beginning of your next turn. I pretty much only use this ability to raise the shields up. Most of the time the construct token isn't really relevant. It is nice sometimes to have the construct have defender, just in case your opponent plays like a hasty creature on you and it saves you a little bit. But that's very rarely going to happen, to be honest. It's really about the next ability, which is... let me find it here. That's not it. Oh, that's not it either. Oh, I found it. Never mind. destroy target creature. Then if that card is an artifact, create 3 gold tokens. So this is great, obviously, because it's got 5 shields and it only takes -1 to destroy a creature. And you can choose your creatures, you can choose your opponent creatures. As long as they're not hexproof, you can use it against them. So this makes it a very solid removal, because it's just there and you can use it when you need to. If you don't need it, you just hit the +1, and that's great. And so this makes it a very viable option for destroying, things on creatures on your opponent's side. And if you need to do it on yourself, you can do it too. And let's just bring in this one. Choose target creature, then create a copy of that card in play under your control. If that card is an artifact card, reinforce it 3 times. So that is really cool too. It is -6, so you need to get the shields up a bit before you can use it. So you kind of have to decide: am I going to use this as a defensive card, or am I going to use it to make my side of the board stronger? So I almost always use a -1, but this is good to have, especially if you're playing it with the proliferate or something. Get the shields up and really are able to, either reinforce your creature or put one of your opponent's creatures on your side too. And this makes it a really good Vanguard. I'm tempted to put it to solid, but I think it might actually be meta, and I just don't know why more people are playing. I just don't know why other people are not playing it more, but I think it's a great Vanguard. Okay, Dahada. Let's start with the first. Yes. All right, where are we here? Okay, it used to be 5 color, which made it a lot better, to be honest, but this still is a really good Vanguard. Dahada Binder of Wills. 15 mana, 5 shields. Pick up to 2 of the first 4 cards from your library, fetch those cards and destroy the others, then create X treasure tokens. X is the number of creatures sent to the graveyard this turn. So I don't know if I've ever created a lot of treasure tokens with it, but really that grave or that library filtering that +1 gives you is great. The fact that it's also a +1 and not a -1 makes her that much better too. This is a great way to get the pieces you want from your deck into your hand. I do wish it had the 5 colors still. But then again, I never understood why it had 5 in the first place, other than it just being, I don't know, they just wanted it to be a better Vanguard. I don't know. But these are the colors that correspond with Dahada, so I do like that. This is also a really good ability, the -2. Your creatures gain vigilance, lifelink, and prevent damage until end of turn. And that can be really relevant, especially the lifelink. The vigilance makes no sense. If you get vigilance for only your turn, there's almost never going to be a time where your creatures are going to be receiving attacks from your opponent's creatures on their side. So I can't see a situation where the vigilance makes any difference. But the lifelink and the lifelink especially, and the prevent damage sometimes, depending on what's on their side. If they got some defenders, that will help them survive that. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I really like that. And then the -9 is where is it? Oh. Gain control of up to the first 2 opposing creatures until end of turn. Those creatures gain double strike and haste until end of turn. If you control a legendary card, creatures you control gain trample until end of turn. So the -9 is just a lot of shields, and it's going to take a while to get there most of the time. And yeah, to be honest, I just don't really use that much. I don't think it's a bad ability at all. I just don't. I just think that the -9 is a lot, and I think the other abilities are usually more relevant, especially in the early game. So, yeah, this is a great Vanguard. It's definitely, I would put it in meta. I don't know if it was ever like God tier or anything like that, even when it was before it was nerfed. But I've always just found it to be a really good um, Vanguard, and one I should probably use a little more. One thing I'm noticing when I go through these is like, I used to use these Vanguards more, and for whatever reason, I got away from them, but they're still pretty solid. A lot of the ones that are in the higher tiers here. Domary City Smasher. At the beginning of combat on your turn, your creatures get +1/+1 and gain trample. So that's kind of the real reason to use this Vanguard, because the trample is kind of relevant nowadays with things like Sabsunin. Phyrexian Vindicator about to rotate makes things a little bit less scary in that regard too, but trample is really good for getting around Vindicator, because not only can you still deal damage to your opponent, but he can only reflect that much damage back at you, whatever his toughness is. So this will also help with getting around Sabsunin, which is very annoying. Next one. So he only has minus abilities. There's no way to up the shields of this card, which makes it really annoying to use. Deal 3 damage to any target. So why are you going to -1 to do that? Oops, that is the wrong Domary. So -5, your creatures get +1/+1 and gain haste. That's a lot of shields for um, just that ability, which might not even be relevant. Yeah, this card kind of sucks. The only thing that makes it a little better is the fact that it has a passive ability, and that passive ability is fairly relevant right now. So we're going to put it in rare use because it is playable. I almost want to call it functional, but it's so bad in so many different ways that I can't rate it any higher than that. I think it mostly sucks, but it has one redeeming quality. So far we only have one real trash Vanguard. That one's close. It's very close to trash. Very trash adjacent. Okay, now we're at this Domary. Okay, fetch the first creature card from your library. That's pretty much the main reason I use this card. I like it for, yeah, just fetching creatures I want and being able to do it once a turn. +1. The 15 mana cost is a little steep, but it is in green and red, so those don't usually have a lot of struggles getting things on the board. So I haven't found the cost of it being that prohibitive, but it is relevant. But I do like the fetching the creature from your library. That really helps with a lot of different things. I want consistency in my decks, so being able to fetch the pieces that get me more consistency, especially depending on the creatures that I play, I think that's really good. I think this is a good early play. Target creature goes +2/+2, so this is for the -1. And target creature fights target opposing creature. Um, this one I use sometimes if I just need to get rid of a creature on their side, and I don't have a great other way to do it, and I just don't need to use the +1. I think that's okay. I don't really use that ability very much. I definitely use the +1 the most, but it's also got a decent -5 here. It'll take a while to get there. And I noticed that if you use this in your shields, if you reduce the shields to 0 by using the -5, they won't get the effect. And I think that's a bug, and it is one that I have. It's one that I've reported, but it's still not working right. So if other people want to report it, that would be great. Try and get this guy working the way it should, because I think this ability is really good. Double Strike, Berserker, and Trample. So you're going to be able to take out a lot of different things with it depending on what you're putting it on. But I think the best part of this card is the +1. So I'm going to put this. It does have pretty good abilities. Am I going to put this solid or functional? I think I'm going to put it as solid because I use it and I find it pretty useful. So if I'm using it, then out of all the cards that are around, and I'm still using this card a decent amount, I think it makes it a solid card. When I have all the options, I still go for that one. I think that's not bad. Okay, Elspeth Errant Knight. Create 2 soldier tokens for the +1. 16 mana, 4 shields. So, okay, that's all right. Compare it to the Archangel Elspeth. I mean, there's not even a comparison. -7. Your creatures get +X/+X and gain flying until end of turn. X is the amount of loyalty you have. -7. God, that's a lot. I have used this card a little bit, and don't even bother with the -7 until you have a lot of loyalty, because that can actually be a win con. If you have maxed out loyalty and you have 3 creatures on the board, that is a +90 in power and toughness right there. And if they are playing defenders, you get around it with flying. So that's actually really strong. Just played at the right time, and you can actually do some good damage there. Creatures, so -9. Creatures you control gain shield counter 2. Then your supports gain 2 shields. This effect can affect Vanguard supports. So I wouldn't use this card without having a solid proliferate engine in your deck. Something like a Metastatic Evangel is really good because it proliferates when creatures enter the board or the battlefield. So that +1 actually is going to get you a +3 on all your shields because of how Metastatic Evangel works. So, and then they also reinforce. So this is a great pairing with Metastatic Evangel because you can get a lot out of it, and those the -7 and -9 aren't nearly as difficult to get to. I think this one is functional. I don't think it's great. I think it's very dependent on other cards to be really useful, but I played around with it, and I've done some pretty cool stuff with it. So that's where that's going. All right, Estrid the Masked. Vanguard Estrid. I haven't used this card in a while, and maybe I should try it again. The first enchantment card in your hand gains 3 mana for each enchantment you control. So that's a decent +2. I haven't really played this card that much since we had a lot of enchantments in Standard. So I think this might be a better card now than when I was trying to make it really work for me. Next ability is the create a mask token, and this one's cool too. It's an enchantment token. At the beginning of your turn, your first creature without prevent damage gets +1/+1 and gains prevent damage until the beginning of your next turn. I should try this with the Venser Planeswalker because this creates token supports. His abilities like to use token supports, so that's probably a good pairing. At the beginning of your turn, first creature without prevent damage gets +1 and gains prevent damage to the beginning of your next turn. So basically, you're making a creature indestructible from damage until your next turn. So good card to play with blockers. And yeah, I think this card is pretty cool. Or this effect is pretty cool. It's only a -1, so that's not bad. -7. Destroy the top 5 cards of your library, then return all enchantment cards from your graveyard into play. So, yeah, first off, you need a way to get enchantment cards into your graveyard, but it's really not that difficult. If you use a +2 twice, you're at 8 shields, and then you -7. So, that's a pretty easy way to get your enchantment cards into play. So, you're going to definitely want to pair this with something like Master of Keys, really anything that's going to put a bunch of enchantments into your graveyard. So I think this card, you have to play it with a lot of enchantments to really get a lot out of it, but it really works well with certain cards there. So at this point, I want to put it as a functional card, but if I figure something out, I might raise it up to solid if I can really get a lot out of those enchantments nowadays. So yeah, that could move up in rating there. Where are we at here? Cool. Garrick Apex Predator, 24 mana, 5 shields. +1. Create a Black Beast token to destroy an opposing Vanguard support. So you can create the Black Beast token and then without having to destroy a Vanguard support. So that's cool. And I think the Black Beast token is like a 4/4. Um, that is a pretty solid ability. -3. Destroy the first opposing creature with the greatest toughness and gain life equal to that toughness. That's a -3. So that's actually really similar to Garrick Curse Huntsman's Planeswalker's second ability, minus the drawing cards. That's the only thing it's missing. But that's a good effect. Your creature, for -8, your creatures get +8/+8 and gain trample. That's okay. For -8, that's a lot to spend on something like that. Gosh, if this card didn't cost 24 mana, I would have used it more, but the fact that you have to spend that much on it means you have to either cheat it out or it's not gonna ever be your first priority. So something like that has 24 mana has to be something that's gonna really make an impact for the turn you play it. Something like a Galta or Temple Discovery. That's the mana cost we're talking about here. And for this card to be that much or having that amount of utility out of it, just not really cutting it. I will still say it's probably functional, but I don't think it's that functional. I don't know. Maybe it's rare use. I think the high mana cost really just prohibits me from calling it higher than that. Garrick of Beasts. Fetch the first 2 creature cards from your library. Hey, that's already better than the Domary Vanguard. So that's cool. Move -4. Move the first creature card from your hand into play under your control. So that's solid. So you get 2 creatures into play, and then you on your next turn you can get one of them into play under your control. I like that. And then the -6, reinforce each creature control 2 times. That's pretty good. So if you don't need to use the -4, you can, if you have the creatures in play already, you hit this and you make your creatures that much bigger. Depending on the creatures you're playing, though, is gonna be more relevant. But yeah, you play this card with big baddies and you reinforce them. I think this is a pretty solid Vanguard. I don't own it yet, but that is one that I would, if they give us a Duskmourn Epic pack, I would go for it. So maybe I'll hold off for that. Um, if more people get this card, maybe they would use it more, and maybe I would bump it up to meta tier. But I think that's a solid card there for sure. Solid Vanguard. Let's see what we got here. Gayad Drone Dihada. I do have this one, but I don't know if I ever really use it. The +2, so it's 17 mana, 3 shields, +2. Your opponent gains or loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. That's not doing a lot for you at this point. Obnixilis Kingpin is rotating out of standard, so that's the only time your opponent losing that much life is that relevant. Yeah. I was just thinking of other things that it could possibly pair with, but -2 life is really not enough for most things that that synergize with that. If you control 2 or less creatures, gain control of target opposing creature until end of turn, then that creature gains haste until end of turn. So basically, it's like one of those, I don't know what you call them, the reverse Uno cards, I like to call them, where you steal your opponent's creature for a turn and hit them with it. And there are way cheaper ways of doing that. So the -7. The -7 is cool. Create a copy of all opposing non-token supports on the board under your control. It's only going to be a few times where you really are able to take advantage of that in a meaningful way. And the rest of the time, you're just doing whatever. It's going to take a little while to get your Vanguard shields up enough to do that in a reliable way. So this is one that you're going to have to pair with other cards that raise the shields up before you get to that -7, which is pretty cool. It is a cool ability, but the other parts of this card make it a little crappy. So I think I'm going to put this in rare use. That's where we're at with this one. Okay. Next we got... did I not grab the right thing for this? I think I grabbed the wrong... screenshot here, so just give me one sec. Grab the right screenshot from my computer and just toss it in here. No, that's not right. Oh, that's what happened. I screwed up. Let me just talk about the minus the other things here. Dang it. I screwed up. I did not grab the 0. But maybe it's still good enough with just talking about this part of the card. Create a soldier token. So -4. So it starts with 3 shields, but there's no way to up the shields. That's already a knock against it. 16 mana. So you're going to want to have to pair this with Metastatic Evangel. Create a soldier token, then that creature gets +Y/+Y and gains prevent damage. Y is the sum of shields of all supports you control. That's not bad. You do have to have other shields in play for you, but you can do something with that, especially if you're playing this with other Vanguards. You can really up your Vanguard shields with Metastatic Evangel, and you're going to be doing that just by using this ability here, actually. So get some shields back. So that's the -4. That's also the -4. So that was my goof. And the -12, destroy all opposing cards. That's very strong. -12 is a lot of shields, though, so you need to find a way to get that shield count up. Doing that with Guff, the Planeswalker. Well, Guff the Vanguard, too, will do it, but that's a little slower way of going about it. But, yeah, that's a solid -12. Now I'm very curious to know what that 0 is, because if it ups your shield count for whatever reason, that makes it that much better. While I load that up, we'll just talk about Gideon of the Trials, which is one I like. We'll come back and properly rate the other Gideon here. So 17 mana for 3 shields. The +1, your first creature gains prevent damage till end of turn. Sometimes that's relevant. A lot of times you're just using that to +1 your Vanguard here. The 0, I really like the 0. Reinforce each creature you control. Then creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn. So that's really strong. For not costing any shields, that's a better ability than a lot of these that cost like -7 or whatever craziness they're expecting you to do. And then create a last trial token. And if I remember correctly, it's whenever the first time you deal damage to your opponent or make them lose life, you gain that same amount of life, which is pretty good depending on what you have in play and how you're able to take advantage of that. That can be a pretty decent ability there. So I think this is a solid Vanguard. I like this one a lot. It's one of those ones where I'm like, I don't know why I don't use this Vanguard more. I have used it here and there, but yeah, I could definitely use it more. Why not? Okay, what is this? Okay, so that's Gideon Champion Justice. 0 is this support gains X shields. X is 1 plus the number of opposing creatures. Okay, so there is one way to get your shields up without having to you rely on proliferate and stuff. So the most this support can gain is 3. But if you get the 3 and then you do the -4, or you get to 6 and then do the -4, that's pretty cool. You create that soldier token. It can be strong. I think this card is functional. You have to jump through pretty sizable hoops to do the cool thing, the -12. But I think there's something in that -4 that can be useful. Still going all right? Okay. Where are we at here? Grist. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be able to get through all these. I'm not even halfway through. This might this might be a three-parter. We'll see. Um Maybe I'll just do the next. I'll do this and grist the plague swarm and call it a night. Um yeah, well, I'll get to I'll get through H and start the next one on J. Start the next stream with J. Okay. Grist the Hunger Tide. +1. Create a Golgari insect token, then destroy the top 2 cards of your library. If an insect card is destroyed this way, gain 3 loyalty. So you do kind of have to build for this ability here. It's a +1, so it creates a token for you, and it does a little bit of library destruction. That's all right. I don't think it's amazing, but at least you can do things with it. Destroy -2, destroy target creature you can control, then destroy an opposing Vanguard support. If you can't, destroy the first opposing creature. So that's one that is relevant for certain like objectives that you want to get double dip with that objective and destroy 2 creatures that you want to do. So I kind of like that. It's a -2. So you probably want to up your shields a little bit before you start really spamming that. But it's all right. -5, deal X damage to your opponent's planeswalker. X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. That's never going to be that much. I wish it worked like the planeswalker, where you gain some mana from doing that too. But just like the planeswalker, this Vanguard is all right. I don't even know if it's all right. It only has like one just okay. I don't know. They're all very kind of mid. So I don't know. I think I'm just going to have to put this one in the rare use. I don't think it's as good as the ones that are rated higher than it. So I think that's fair. It's a fair place to put it. Grist the Plague Swarm. So let's see if the Vanguard is that much better than the Planeswalker. Or just like the Planeswalker, let's see if this one is way better than the other Vanguard. 18 mana for 3 shields. Already kind of off to an iffy start. That's a lot of mana. Gain +2. Gain X mana. X is the number of insect cards you control, including their reinforcements. So that's a great pairing with Grist because you're going to be creating a ton of insect cards. This could be cool with Omo, to be honest. Maybe that's something I want to try grabbing sometime, but I don't know. I think I might just wait until Duskmourn has an epic pack and try and grab some Vanguards that way, like I'm doing for Bloomburrow. Okay, next ability. Create a Grist Voracious Larva token, then destroy the top 4 cards of your library. For a +1, that's pretty good. Let's see what that larva does. It's a 1/2 insect token, legendary with Death Touch. Okay, when the creature is put in your graveyard from anywhere, this creature gains Berserker and prevent damage till end of turn. That's not bad. I know it's like just a whatever little insect token, but yeah, if you're destroying your library and a creature goes into your graveyard, then this guy becomes a little death machine. For a +1, that's not bad because you can just create a new one if it dies or whatever. Well, it wouldn't die, right? If it has prevent damage. So yeah, that's actually fairly solid. So what is the -6? Insect creatures you control get +X+X. X is the number of creature cards in all graveyards. Okay. So yeah, another probably really good Omo pairing. You're gonna have to find a way to put a lot of creatures in your graveyard, but these days you got things like Rampant Frogantua, um, or Six or Master Keys. A lot of stuff that's really um, throwing a lot of cards into your graveyard. So that's cool. Pair this with like Mind Skinner, maybe even put a ton of cards in graveyards too. So there's a lot of fun things you can do with this card. I think this card has a lot of potential there. So I'm gonna put this in the solid tier. That's one that I think I tried a few times to get things from the Duskmourn, but I think that's actually a fairly decent card there. Um, I think that one can get more play if more people try to get Vanguards. Okay, oops. Let's start with the first ability here. Create a dinosaur token. I think those are just like 2/1 or something like that. Maybe a 3/1. I forget exactly what a dinosaur is. And I don't think I put it in here, but it's not like a crazy strong um, token or anything like that. So target creature you control gets +2/+2 and fights the opposing creature. Okay, so it has to be a dinosaur though. So that's pretty limited. And for a -3, I mean, how much are you realistically gonna do when you fight? Are you gonna take out a lot of things? Most likely not. So you're gonna have to use the +1 a few times before this actually does a lot for you. You know, unless you're using Galta or something. Which I mean, if you're using Galta and this card, you're probably just messing around, right? Your dinosaur creatures get +4/+4 until end of turn for a -7. Jeez, that's a lot. Um, yeah, I mean, this is on the border of rare use and trash, but I think this, just like a lot of the Huatleys in the game, the Planeswalker, the red and white Huatley is trash. So is this Vanguard. So you get the trash treatment. Here's a Vanguard that I actually really like. I think this card is actually way underrated. Watley Warrior Poet, only 11 mana, 3 shields to start with. It's white and red. Um, the 0 is create a green dinosaur token, then that creature gains trample. I think the green dinosaurs are 3/1s. I don't know what that dinosaur is, but I doubt it's like a big upgrade or anything. The last Watley Vanguard we looked at, I can't see it being amazing. Should I look that up? Why not? Okay, that Watley is from. Okay, the dinosaur. Yeah, it's a 3/3, so it's maybe a little bit better than the green dinosaur, but not by much. So I really like the -1. Target creature you control gets +3/+3 and gains Berserker and Lifelink. That's the main reason I use this card, because it just permanently gives a creature lifelink, and depending on what type of creature and what battle I'm in, the Berserker can be useful. Like throwing this on, a double striker or even a first striker, it's fine. But I'm really using it for the life link. I really like it. Even just building up your little dinosaur token and throwing this on it makes it just a little sacrificial little creature to get some life back. So that's also pretty nice. But I tend to put it on a larger creature of mine. And the -2 is all right. Reinforce target creature you control, then that creature fights the first opposing creature. So I might like the -2 more if it didn't have to fight the creature. But yeah, I think this card is pretty solid. I think that it probably isn't meta, but I do really like it, and I find myself using it a decent amount, more than you would think. So I'm going to put it here. And yeah, going through these, there are a lot more definitely playable Vanguards in standard right now than I give this current meta credit for. So far, we've done 4, 8, 12, 16, 19, 20, 24, 26, 28. So far, we've done 28 of the Vanguards. And having almost half of them be playable is actually better than I think most people think the current state of Vanguards is. So if you're just not a Vanguard player, then you probably don't care that I'm even doing this. But for those of you who do like to play with Vanguards, maybe this is a little bit of a revelation and you're like, oh, maybe I should give some of these a try, or maybe I want to try and chase some of these with pinks. But yeah, we'll keep talking about them. Let me see if I can do one tomorrow morning. Keep this going. I don't think I'll be able to get through all of them because I think I'm just over a third of the way through going through all these. So anyway, hope you like what I'm doing here, and I will see you pretty soon for the next phase of this video I'm doing here.